Good morning, Shefa Brucha V'Atzlucha. We are starting summer. Finished Pesach, starting a new beginning of renewing ourselves and elevating ourselves. And our parasha says, Kedoshim tiyu, we should be holy people. Kedoshim tiyu l'Hashem Elokechem. It's a few times written in the parasha. And what's the meaning of being holy? What's the idea of holiness, Kedoshim? And one of the nice things that I saw is Kedoshim is your behavior of the daily life should be, let's say, Kiddush Hashem. What does it mean? Kedoshim to you is for like the simple version. The simple version is that we have to separate ourselves from all the others and the sins that they do, and we have to keep the mitzvahs and be good people, and that's holiness. But that's not the idea. The idea is exactly what we're doing on Pesach. Pesach and Shabbos and all the other Yom Tovim, they are holy by themselves. So if we are in those holy days, we feel holy. The point is, what do you do after you go out of Pesach? How do you behave? And this is Sfirat Omer. Sfirat Omer is counting the Omer and building yourself while you're doing it to get to the level of a human being, getting out of the beastly soul, which is the nefesh habehemit, which is me, from Egypt, Metzarim, from the Metzar, and building yourself, and while you're doing it, building yourself in order to get to the level of a human being, of a mensch, and this is the end of Sirat Omer when we receive the Torah, Ke'ish echad belev echad. And this is why a few times we explained about the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. Why did they die on Sfirat Omer, and why do we mourn about the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva and not on the others? If we have to mourn on every Talmid Chacham that died during the years, we can mourn about every day. And why the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva and not others? And the idea of Sfirat Omer, by the way, is you have to count by yourself. It's written once Lecha and once Lachem. So from one point of view, you have to count by yourself. The other point of view is Lachem to all of us. And the halacha says that if the counting itself has to be done by each one individually, you cannot be yotze by somebody else doing it. There is a few opinions about it, but lechatchila, definitely everybody agrees that the counting has to be made by yourself. You have to count, and somebody else cannot count for you, and you will be yotze. The bracha, yes, the blessing, it's okay. But the counting, you have to count. And here is a problem, and that's why the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva died, especially on Sfirat Omer. Because in Sfirat Omer, this idea of building yourself, and then you can forget that you are a part of the congregation, a part of the klal. Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva died because they didn't honor each other. It's very hard to understand and to believe a thing like this. Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, they were the best. They were very high people. They were very holy people. But what did Rabbi Akiva say? And it's in our parasha. You should love your fellow like you love yourself. And what does it mean? What level do you have to get to? What is the mean? And Rabbi Akiva, he is the Rebbe. And if he's the Rebbe, and you are the student, you are his Talmid, you have to listen to him. So, what does it mean, lo nagu kavod ze baze? And one of the explanation is that it's written 12,000 couples died from the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. Why is it not written 24,000 Talmidim? Because the problem was with the couple, with the chavruta. And we say in the Gemara, o chavruta o mituta. A Talmid Chacham, if he hasn't got a chavruta, he better off not be in this world. So the chavruta is one of the most important things in the life of a Talmid Chacham. And why is it written 12,000 pairs, 12,000 couples, or whatever we call it? Because the problem was with the chavruta. And what's the meaning of lo nagu kavod ze baze? It's not that they chas v'shalom cursed each other or didn't honor each other. Of course they did. But Rabbi Akiva says, v'ahavta lereacha kamocha. You should love your fellow, your friend, like you love yourself. In other words, they were sitting together and learning, and one had a chidush, wow, and brilliant idea ahead of a new explanation on the Gemara. They were both very happy about it. But the one that didn't get the chidush, wasn't the one who told the chidush, he was very happy, but inside he felt, why wasn't I the one who had this chidush? And if your rabbi says, "V'ahavta l'racha," you should love your friend like you love yourself. In other words, if your friend has something good, if your friend's got a good chidush, a good explanation, a brilliant whatever, you have to be happy like you are the one who did this chidush. That's the level you have to get. It's a very high level. Who can get to this level? Talmidim Rabbi Akiva. So why in Sfirat HaOmer? And what's the whole idea? Because that's exactly the point. The Gemara and the Torah are not a story, are not let's say, a Sefer Sipurim, a book of stories or mises. It's learning how to behave. It's a lesson for us. And what is the Torah trying to tell us? The Gemara is telling us that while you count the Omer and you're building yourself with your own unique talent, there is a point that you will forget your friends and you will think that you are the one. And then you have to remember the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. To remember Ve'ahavta l'racha kamocha, that the whole idea is that I am a part of the congregation. And whatever talents I've got is for the use of everybody. I have to give it to others. That's the idea of Sfirat HaOmer. That's Ve'ahavta l'racha kamocha. You have an ability to do, you give it to others. It's like a puzzle. We always say it. Each one of us is a part in a puzzle, and each part is a different part. But if we don't put the part in the right position, in the right place, and if not all of us will put it, there will be no puzzle, there will be no picture. In other words, each one of us is an individual, and he has to develop his abilities and his talent that he got from God. But not for himself, for the others. It's like today I said an interesting Dvar Torah about giving to others. And the Mishnah says, let me open it. Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, he got from Hillel and Shammai, and he would say, Im lamata Torah הרבה, if you learned a lot of Torah, אל תחזיק Torah, don't put it in your own favor, כי לכך נוצרת, because this is why you were created. Now, so don't think, oh, I'm Shasa Gaon, I'm so clever, I learned so much Torah, I am, wow, a big shot. You are what you are supposed to be. You're supposed to learn Torah, you're supposed to get to this level, because this is your abilities. But there is a beautiful explanation, and it says, we have in Israel the Sea of the Galilee, the Kinneret, and we have the Dead Sea. What is the difference between those two? Unbelievable. From the Kinneret, millions of people drink every year. It's full of life, fishes from all kinds and other things. And the whole area is prosperous, is full with trees and flowers and everything is growing there, everything is green and beautiful. When we go to the Dead Sea, the name, the Dead Sea, call it Yam HaMelach, the Salt Sea. But the Dead Sea, it's really the good name for it. Everything is dead there. Nothing can live in those water, and impossible to drink those water. And everything around it is desert. Nothing is growing there. What's the difference? Why two places with water, one so beautiful, full of life, and other dead? Because the Kinneret gets water from the Jordan and gives it over to all the others. And it gets to the Yam HaMelach, and Yam HaMelach, the Dead Sea, takes the water and gives nobody. So if you take in order to give, if you are piped for doing good, for giving, then everything is prosperous, everything is green, everything is life. Water is the essence of life. Water is Torah. But if you take for yourself, I. So that's the Dead Sea. Nothing grows. Desert. Nothing lives. Beautiful, beautiful example. What the Mishnah is saying, said the Rebbe Koznish is saying, that if you have a talent, if you learn Torah, you need to give this Torah to others. And this is in everything in life. If you know something, if you're good in something, use your talent to help others. It's so beautiful. If you keep it only for yourself, if you're a taker, you take and take and take, that's the Dead Sea. Everything is dead around you. Definitely spiritually, and in a lot of cases, eventually also physically. But if you give, everybody appreciates you. And the good comes to you because you're giving to others. So God gives you more and more. In the States, they did an experiment. We don't need those experiments. If somebody is doing a good deed to you, you choose 3 people to do them good deeds. And it can be something small, but this way the good is going to spread all over. We don't need the Americans to tell us what we should do. The Torah tells us. Look, as we said, at the Kinneret and the Dead Sea. There is so much to do, so much to give. And if we give, wow, we feel good. We get more and more in order to give to others. But if we only take us, oy vavoy. And now, I was writing the Torah for Shabbos and talking about Kedoshim to you, be holy, and v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you love your fellow man like you love yourself. And it's connected. In order to be holy, what is holiness? What is Kedusha? What is Kedoshim? When a couple love each other, they marry. And how does it call in the Jewish tradition? Kedoshim. Kedusha. Holiness. In other words, the highest level of love is holiness. So holiness and love go together. And this is the way to receive the Torah. In a few weeks' time, we are building ourselves in Sfirat Omer in order to get to the level of receiving the Torah Ke'ish echad belev echad, like one. On Shabbos, we've been in Jerusalem, in a hotel. And on Shabbos morning, I walk around and I talk to myself. Yeah. As I told you before, I'm giving a small vote in German every Motzei Shabbos. And in order to do it properly as well as I can, on Shabbos morning when I walk around and I try to build the Dvar Torah and talk to myself in order to get the right words in. Okay, this Shabbos I did the same thing. And we've been in Har HaTzofim in Dan, Yerushalayim, which is on the Har HaTzofim, which is surrounded also with a lot of Arabs. And on the morning when I'm walking, I see this young Chassid. He comes, I understood later on, from the hospital Hadassah nearby, and he wants to walk to in-laws in Jerusalem. And he looks very distorted and even frightened. And he's asking me, how do I get to the neighbors, into the town, to this neighborhood, to the Jewish neighborhoods? I tell you, no, I'm not from Yerushalayim, but I think that you go down here and then, and he was so afraid. I walked there and I saw so many Arabs, and he was so afraid. And I said, can you maybe escort me and show me? He says, I don't know exactly, but I know. And then I was thinking to myself, what do I think even? A guy needs my help. ואהבת לרעך כמוך. לא תעמוד על דם רעך. You should help him. Okay, so I won't get in time maybe to shul at this morning, or I maybe be late a little for all the other things I have to do. So what? And I will have to come back by myself. Anyway, I said, okay, I'll walk you to the road, and I looked at you, cross the road, and you go to the Jewish neighborhood. It wasn't so far. Anyway, walking and we're talking, and I see the guy is really shittering. He's all he's in a big fright. He's afraid. I don't know. And then he told me that a year ago or something like this, he went with his friends to the Kotel through Sha'ar Shechem, and young Arabs started cursing them and throwing stones at them, and he was hardly saved. And if somebody happens to him like yes, They say, מי שנכווה בקודחים נזהר מצוננים. Somebody who is burned by boiling water is also frightened from normal water. Anyway, I was calming him down and we were talking together. Don't have to worry, I'm with you, I'm going to bring you, and everything is okay. We're talking about so many things in order for him to calm down. And eventually we got to this place. I said, here, you cross the road, you're in a judgment. And I made sure that he's getting there. This is milut chasadim. This is chesed. This is v'ahavta l'recha kamocha. Small things. Something you don't even think about it. Smile to a guy in the street. This is also chesed. And this is what God wants for us. Unfortunately, sometimes in life, people have that certain ideas and they're telling us what to do and what not to do. And we have to remember we have a mission. We have a target. We have a task. And this reminds me of a story I told you once before about this juggler. He was doing time in Siberia, in Russia. And, at that time they used to take people to re-educate them. And they put you in special camps where you were involved with, from one side, very intelligent people, from the other side, from very low-life criminals. And this guy was walking around the camp and telling everybody that he's a juggler and he can walk on a string, on a rope, from at the highest you put it, like a long string with nothing with him, and he can walk on it. And everybody says, yeah. Says, the minute I will be released from this camp, I will show you all how I'm doing it. And the day came, they released him from the camp, and he put on the tower of the guard towers to the other guard towers in the other side of the camp. They tied a big rope, and he climbed up, and he was walking on the rope. Unbelievable. Yes, he was walking, and everybody was clapping hands, and he got to the other side. So was this rabbi there in the same camp, also getting re-educated by the communist regime. And he asked this guy, he says, how do you do this? It's so dangerous. In the circus you have a net underneath, a safe net. Here was nothing. If you fall, you die. It was so high. He says, there are a few things you have to do. But the main thing is you keep your eyes on the target, where you have to get. And you don't care about, and you don't look, no right, no left, no up, no down. You just walk to the target, to the other side. This is what you've got in your eyes. And even the clapping and the shouting and everything, you don't hear it. There's only one thing. You're concentrated on the way to get to the target. You see the target, that's where you're going. This rabbi says, from this day on, it always took me through life. If you have a mission, if you have a target, and our target is to build ourselves, to be better people, to get to Ma'amad Har Sinai, to get to the next world. And this world is Kol Ha'olam Kulo Gesher Tzamo, the very narrow bridge. And the main thing, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because as long as you're walking to the target, you are on the safe side and you will make it. And remember what this juggler did. This guy, he taught us a big lesson. Don't look right and don't look left. You've got the target. You don't care about what people are saying around you. Even if they're clapping and even they're cursing, whatever they do, you don't care. You're going in the right way. As we said in Shirat Hayam, they went on earth in the middle of the ocean, and the water were the wall from right or from left. The water, which is the Torah. When you walk in the way of Torah, the Torah is the wall that covers, that helps you, that protects you, and you're going on the road to heaven, on the road to receive the Torah. This is the idea of Kedoshim to you, to be holy, which is connected. You should love your friend as you love yourself. And this is also the end of is Ani Hashem. When you love people, you love God. If you love God, you love people. It goes together. And that's the whole Torah, says Rabbi Akiva. And his Talmidim are telling us this lesson every Sfirat HaOmer. לא נהגו כבוד זה בזה. To respect each other, to give each other, to be a vessel, to be a pipe that of goodness to others, to build ourselves in order to give, to be a part of the congregation. And no matter what other people do, we know our target. And we know that the basic is ואהבת לרעך כמוך אני השם. קדושים תהיו. All the best and have a nice week.